Okay, Brian, that was going from a negative net worth to a zero. Now let's talk about the fun side, the other side of that equation. Let's talk about the second strata. What about net worth from $0 to $100,000? What are the wealth strategies we ought to be focusing on?
Now, first of all, congratulations. Once you get to zero, meaning you don't actually owe, you have money. Hopefully you're living on less than you make. You don't have a ton of credit card debt. You're already doing better than the 12% of the population that is pretty much stuck in some form of debt, whether it's student loan debt, whether it's credit card debt. You're already doing better than that group of people. But now we've got to get you to that bowling point, which is we've got to try to work on getting you to your first $100,000.
So what are the things that we ought to focus on when it comes to getting to 100? Well, the first is you got to finish your financial cleanup. If you do still have like lingering high interest debt, get that knocked out ASAP, and then build your emergency fund. So again, you won't find yourself getting back into that. You want to build that foundation so that you can keep yourself out of debt. And so that way you can begin focusing on the number one primary thing that you should be focusing on.
Yeah, we like to say start aggressively investing. Now look, don't mishear us. We want you not just going out there and speculating where you're out there buying whatever the latest and greatest trend that you hear that you can't miss making money on. That's not what we're talking about. In the beginning, when we're trying to get you to your first $100,000, your savings rate is so much more important than even the investment you're choosing. So I want you to be as aggressive as possible with what you can put towards the future.
And our goal is we want you saving 25% of your gross income for the future. But if all you can do is 10%, that's great. See how you can move to 11% next year. If you're at 15%, awesome. What can we do to get to 20%? Because as you begin saving, as you begin to increase your savings rate, you get to move along in the financial order of operations. When you think about putting your dollars to work, where do you put them? Well, we've already talked about, we want you to be getting that employer match. It is free money. It's 100% rate of return. You can't miss out on that. Well, then you knock out that high interest debt. You've got your emergency fund covered. Now you get into the fun stuff. Now you get to look at the accounts where you can actually get your army of dollar bills working for you.
Yeah, I mean, I get excited when somebody tells me, hey, I'm at the point where I've got a good emergency fund. Where do I need to start investing? I love introducing people to Roth accounts.
Yep.
Whether it's your Roth employer plan, whether it's your Roth IRA, get in there and take advantage of this tax-free growth opportunity. Because if you do this early and often enough, there's a good chance you could be a 7-figure tax-free millionaire. And that's super exciting. So get that Roth IRA, get that health savings account, and don't skip out on step 6, which allows you to load up that employer plan too.
Now, here's what's interesting. These are all so exciting and so fun. And we have a lot of fervor when we just start first funding these accounts. But in reality, it might feel slow at first. You might feel like, oh gosh, I've been doing this for a year and I'm just not going anywhere. The numbers aren't getting big. The accounts aren't huge. Man, is this even worth it? Should I even do it? Take a deep breath. That's normal. It is supposed to feel slow at first because what's interesting is when you can apply time over this discipline, the story gets super, super exciting.
Yeah, so let's talk about that first $100,000. This is something that I think is interesting. If you're just deliberate with your monthly savings, meaning you're going to save $10,000 annually, which I know, but go with us for this illustration. You'll see what we're saying, what we're sharing here, and making a reasonable 8% per year. A lot of people are surprised to see, yes, it's going to take 7 years and 5 months.
Just to get to $100,000.
Just to get to $100,000. And that's even with a very aggressive savings rate. But here's the thing I need people to understand. I understand a lot of life is going to happen in that 7 years. Is because more than likely, that's enough time that you're going to have an economic downturn. There's a lot of things. There's going to be elections during those periods. There's going to be lots of things where every night you're going to come home and something's going to whisper in your ear, hey, I know you're buying every month. I know you're investing. And I know you have this automatic millionaire thing going on if you just stay the course. But why don't you quit? And it happens all the time. I've had neighbors where they know what I do for a living. They see the excitement that we create, and they'll come to me and they'll say, hey, can you help me set up an account with a Fidelity, a Vanguard, and get this started? Then they'll come to me 3 months later and say, Brian, that was the dumbest thing ever because that thing can lose money. I'm telling you, do not get sidetracked in this first $100,000. That is the journey. This is so simple, but it is not easy because life is going to be out there with all these distractions always be buying is your friend.
But then what's the rest of the story? So we said it might take you, if you were to start at 30, it might take you 7 years and 5 months to build up to $100,000. But if you can stay the course and you can continue to save $10,000 a year and you can make on average 8%, by the time you get to retirement, by the time you get to age 65, in the last 6 months of your investing, your portfolio will have grown by $100,000. What took you 7 years and 5 months to do in the beginning, by the end of your journey only takes 6 months if you can put in the time, if you can stay the course. So it's gonna feel slow. It's gonna feel hard. Keep plugging forward and your future self will thank you.
It is all about, in the beginning, those small decisions so you can build that great, big, beautiful tomorrow. So get through the slow part where, yes, every month is going to feel like a task, a journey to get there. But if you will do this and get to that critical mass, that launch point, and that's what our bowling point, as I like to say, and not saying very well, you will get to a point where your money can work harder than you can with your back, your brain, and even your hands.
Now, here's what you need to do also at this stage. Make sure you stay out of credit card debt. You got out of that high interest debt. Don't allow yourself, when life gets tough, to fall back into that trap. And then as you get into this positive net worth territory, you probably are doing things like making large decisions like buying a home. So even when you make a large decision like that, make sure you're doing it in a responsible manner. We actually have a rule when it comes to home buying. Before you purchase your first home, make sure that your timeline is you can be there for at least 5 to 7 years. When it comes to putting it on down payment, you don't have to do 20% down. It's okay for your first house. It's okay for your first house if you only do a 3 to 5% down payment. And then you want to make sure that you keep all of your housing costs under 25% of your gross income. If you can do that, if you can get into a home that way, there's a really good chance that you're not going to derail your financial life and be house rich, retirement poor, by doing it the wrong way.
Yeah, so make sure you go out there at moneyguy.com/resources. Check out some of these home buying guides, these other portals that we've set up to be tools for you, because this is going to help you so you can actually have a chance to build wealth outside of just your home equity. And nothing wrong with building home equity, by the way. It's just that when it comes to your money working harder for you, we need that money to be accessible and something you can use. And that's why investing really is important in this journey.